My name is Tasha, and if you told me 5 years ago that I'd end up sending my own half-sister to prison, I wouldn't have believed you. We share the same father, or so I thought for most of my life. But I learned, painfully, that blood doesn't always bind family, and sometimes the people closest to you are the ones plotting your downfall. Growing up, I was Daddy's girl. He raised me with pride, love, and discipline. He'd always say, "Tasha, one day all of this will be yours." And he meant it. The house, the land, his small trucking company. He was a self-made man, and I was proud to carry his name. Carla came along a few years after me. Her mother, Marcia, had been a whirlwind, young, loud, and too beautiful for her own good. Daddy married her after my mother died, and Carla was born not long after. From the moment she entered our lives, things changed. Carla was the favorite in a different way. While I worked the books with Daddy and helped in the garage, Carla was out shopping, traveling, and posting selfies like she was already rich. She barely visited when Daddy got sick, but when he passed, she showed up like she never left. The day of the will reading, I walked into that lawyer's office wearing black and holding back tears. I expected to hear my name. After all, I had cared for Daddy through every hospital visit, every chemo session, every sleepless night. Carla had only shown up twice that year, once with a boyfriend and once with a camera crew for her YouTube vlog. The lawyer adjusted his glasses, cleared his throat, and read the will. And that's when the world stopped. Everything, the house, the bank accounts, the trucking company, the land, was left to Carla. Not a single mention of me, not one. I felt the blood drain from my face. My throat closed up. Carla sat next to me, legs crossed, smirking like she already knew. And maybe she did. That was the moment I stopped grieving Daddy and started grieving who I thought my family was. I didn't argue then. I was too stunned. But the questions wouldn't leave me alone. Why would Daddy cut me out completely? Why would he leave everything to someone who barely showed up? Something was wrong. My gut told me this wasn't just about grief or confusion. This was manipulation. Carla moved into Daddy's house that week. She threw out his old furniture, painted over his favorite wall, and posted a house tour on her channel like she'd won the lottery. That's when I made up my mind. I was going to find the truth, no matter what it cost. I visited the house one day pretending to make peace. Carla played nice, offered me a glass of wine, and talked about converting Daddy's garage into a recording studio. She called it rebranding the family image. I smiled through clenched teeth, and while she went upstairs to take a call, I looked around. Daddy used to keep all his personal documents in a locked metal box in the hallway closet. I opened it. The key was gone, but I pried it open with a nail file. Inside, under old invoices and expired insurance policies, was a thick manila envelope labeled "Personal Tasha Only." My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was an older will, dated just 3 months before his death. That one named me as the sole beneficiary, just like he always said. Beneath that was a handwritten letter. My father had written, "If anything happens to me and Tasha doesn't receive what I left her, investigate. I don't trust Carla's mother, and after what I overheard last year, I'm not even sure Carla's mine." My stomach dropped. Daddy didn't believe Carla was his child. I needed proof. I found an old hairbrush Carla had used while living at Daddy's. I sent it to a DNA lab, along with a cheek swab I had from Daddy's medical kit. He'd given me a kit for Ancestry years ago, so I still had it. The results came back 10 days later, 0% match. Carla was not Daddy's daughter, but that wasn't all. I visited a handwriting expert. I gave her both wills. She studied them for 3 days and sent me a full report. The second will, the one that gave Carla everything, was clearly forged. She wrote, "The strokes are inconsistent, the ink flow changes midway, and there are signs of tracing over an original." That was enough for me. I met with a lawyer, handed over all the evidence, and filed a formal petition to contest the will. My lawyer warned me it wouldn't be easy. Courts are reluctant to overturn wills unless the fraud is undeniable. So I did one more thing. I set a trap. I met Carla at a neutral spot, a coffee shop downtown. I told her I didn't want to fight anymore. Said I was willing to walk away if she gave me $75,000 to start fresh. She paused. I could see the gears turning. Fine, she said. It's not like Daddy's coming back to change anything, right? Gotcha. I had a recorder in my purse the whole time. That night, I turned it all over to my lawyer. The court date came fast. Carla showed up in head-to-toe designer, acting like she was above the whole thing. But when the judge saw the DNA results, the handwriting analysis, and the original will, and then heard the audio recording where she admitted Daddy didn't write the new one, everything changed. She looked like she wanted to sink through the floor. Her lawyer tried to argue that Daddy loved her like a daughter and that she had a right to the estate emotionally, if not biologically. But the judge was clear: emotions don't overrule evidence. The court reinstated the original will. Everything went back to me, Daddy's rightful heir. But that wasn't the end. Carla was arrested in the courtroom. Forgery, fraud, and obstruction of estate execution. The judge sentenced her to 5 years in prison with no chance of early release. Carla sobbed as she was let out in cuffs. For once, that smirk of hers was gone. And me? I walked out of that courthouse holding Daddy's original will in one hand and my dignity in the other. I moved into Daddy's house a month later. I didn't change much. I kept the chair where he used to sit. I left the workshop untouched, just the way he liked it. I planted flowers in front, roses, his favorite. Every morning I sit on the porch with my coffee, watching the sunrise over the land Daddy loved. Not because of what I won, but because of what I protected. Carla tried to erase me. She tried to rewrite history and steal the legacy that was mine by birth, by blood, by love. But the truth has a way of rising. And when it did, I didn't just get my inheritance back, I got justice.